meeting to order. If you wouldn't mind joining me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Okay, full board here. We've advertised this hearing, the appropriate, what was that, 10 days, we said that? Twice we've done the advertisements for this. We're here to discuss the ambulance budget, and we have a couple of folks here. Bruce, you're prepared to speak today if we need you to answer any questions, right?
I hope so.
Yeah, and we didn't get Jerry to come?
I did not.
Okay.
That's one reason why you stepped down. So.
Okay, all right. So we have, and you handed these out to the public. So you have before you the figures, the estimated revenue for 23-24, 1741, 251, the estimated expenses to match that for an amount to be levied of $505,000. At this point, I'm going to open up, I'm going to ask for a vote to open this to a public hearing. So, do I have a motion to open a public hearing?
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Roll call.
Commissioner B.O.C.C.
Yes.
Commissioner Cassidy. Here. Commissioner Zimmerman.
Here. Okay, so we're now in a public comment. There was a sign-up sheet if you wanted to make comment that you should have signed, or we need you to fill that out. And we will open this ambulance budget discussion up for public comment.
I'm not shy.
No, you're not shy, and you, I'm sure you signed up.
I don't know what the, I haven't got comment yet, I've heard him.
Matt Beaner for the record, in 7661. Just, I see where you're not gonna ask questions, but, when we left off in the budget workshop, the fire halls wanted 5 or 10% raises. Never did hear what it ended up, 5 or 10, and never did know what the 5 and 10% was gonna go for. Whether using the fire hall, whether raising it, whether COLA, what was it? Thank you.
Okay, we'll see if we can't get that answered for you here in a second. Bruce, can you respond to that? What was the final agreement on the 5%?
They did ask for a raise, and I believe we settled on 5 or less. Don't really recall what we did, but it was a COLA raise or a raise
For the fire,
for the,
that are
for not the firemen, for the EMS.
for the ambulance.
So, yes, there was a raise included there.
Okay.
I want to say it was like between 3 to 5.
We have other public comments or questions today? Yes.
I fill one out, but I don't know if it's a waste of time. I don't know what to comment on until I hear, like, through the meeting. Is there another opportunity to put my 2 cents in or talk about anything, or is it just gonna be,
This is our chance right now.
this is it?
Yeah.
There's nothing to say, 'cause I don't know. But I just got this little
Oh,
nice budget thing here.
Which,
Okay. I don't know until I hear specifics.
okay. Bruce, do you care to speak on the behalf of the budget and the process you went through and what you're presenting here?
it was difficult. Hopefully, next season will be a little bit better. Danny, thank you for your help. Jerry and Shell put a lot of it together as well. As you know, we lost our accountant, so it was a bitch for the last 6 months. We did what we could with it. We're doing good with the ambulance, but we're not terrific yet. Just for public info, we do have 2 ambulances that are on order. by the time they get here, we will probably put them in line right away, because we have 2 ambulances that are on their last legs, so timing was good there. It's gonna be a tough deal with this ambulance, as everybody knows, so bear with us. If there's any questions, we meet the 3rd Thursday of the month, the advisory board, 6 o'clock in Osborne. We encourage people to come if you got comments or questions. That's about it. I mean, it's a struggle. You got 7 guys that are working their buns off trying to get things done in 1 meeting a month, or stretched out to get it done by the monthly meetings.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments, public comment? Okay,
I can provide a little bit more information if they have specific questions. I did meet with Jerry Brand several occasions, and I went to the ambulance district meeting. I met with Shell and Bruce, and came up with how they had it grouped. We didn't go up, that much, other than we did budget for 2 ambulances, like Bruce said, budgeted in $600,000 capital. Of that, 541,000 is a grant that will help pay for those, and the rest of it will come from some of the Shoshone Hospital District funds that were left over to cover the rest of that in their outfitting of those ambulances. We did go up a bit in the fire district's distributions. I believe it was around 3 to 5%, like Bruce said. I can't remember exactly off the top of my head. But we went up on that. We also pay the fire chiefs and the medical director to oversee the training and the calls and everything. And that particular figure is $18,000 a year for his services in that. And it's $32,000 for the chiefs to manage the ambulance staff, basically, and all our supplies and most of the contract. I do have the actual breakdown of every one of the line items, if someone would like to take a look at that. I do not have last year's with me, I'll go downstairs and get it. It doesn't look anything like this year's because they did it differently, so. But basically, the same items are there and broke out.
you understand that this is becoming a part of the county budget this year.
It'll be managed under the county, but it will not be part of our budget. It will be handled separately.
Let me rephrase that. Yeah. Okay, any further comments or questions? Okay, seeing none, commissioners, any elected response? Any comments?
No.
No. Okay. Madam Clerk, anything further? All right, entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second. Okay. We need a roll call. Roll call?
Commissioner Rose?
Yes.
Commissioner Cassidy? Yes. Commissioner Zimmerman?
Yes. All right, we're now to the point where we can take action to pass the budget as presented, as written, or we could continue the hearing, for some other reason. At this point, I would entertain a motion to pass the budget as presented.
I'll move to pass the budget as presented for fiscal year 24.
I'll second it. Seconded. Any discussion?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so we have passed this as presented for 23-24. Do any of the commissioners have closing comments?
I noticed that we did talk to, the ambulance, it was the gentleman that was the,
Jerry Burns.
Jerry Brands, and the, revenue was down this year as well for the ambulance revenue, their regular revenue, so they were having problems there, so. And this budget isn't really, it's to make up that part of it, so. I don't know how far it was down, do you remember that?
It was, well, current believe it was went from 807,054 to 693,996 in revenue, and part of that is collections from system design being slow. They are getting a little bit back on track from what I understand, but it's always a slow process. And there's 50% that's a write-off every year, is uncollected. It's been that way for years.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any comments,
No.
Commissioner Cassidy? All right, with that, I think we've covered the business at hand, so with that, this meeting is adjourned. We'll be convening again in 40 minutes for round 2. Joining me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay. So this meeting has been duly advertised twice the last 10 days. And so we are here today for, hopefully we can take action on the proposed 23-24 budget. I'll make a couple of comments about the financial health of the county. If you haven't been watching the ongoing budget meetings, and then if my fellow commissioners want to make any comment. If you have not been following this, and we have done this in a series of public meetings this year, we started the budget process like normal. We found a few things that didn't make sense. We asked the clerk for further clarification. She came back with some new numbers that would indicate that we not only needed to not raise the budget $1 million that we were looking at this year, but that we would have to cut $2 million more out of the budget in order to make a budget that we could pass legally. In other words, that we had in the past spent money or committed the county to more expenditure than we have income. So we've been looking this year in our budget process in more of a survival mode of how did we trim the $3 million out of the budget. Some of that was accomplished through using grant money, so that does not trim it. Some of that was accomplished using actual cuts to the budget. And some of that we anticipate some one-time revenue to cover the shortfall that was created that we've had to deal with. Making this budget a temporary solution. This budget does not, I mean, we can pass a legitimate budget, a legal budget. It accomplishes that we have enough revenue and tax to do this one time, but it does beg the question of what we will do. The county is still overcommitted by a couple of $1 million or so in how much they spend versus what our revenues will bring in. This is, several people have asked, where, why, how. I've tried to avoid the finger pointing mode, and instead the commission has said that we have called for an external audit of some sort, a very specific, not a repeat of the audit that we do every year, to help us get to the bottom of when, where, and how the county spent that revenue or committed that revenue, or what created the problem. How did we end up upside down passing technically what was probably potentially unbalanced budgets in the past. So instead of getting to talk about all the wonderful new things we're doing this year, we're really talking about all the trimming and cutting. I want to extend appreciation to the elected officials who all participated in actual cutting of expenses. Those are very painful. I think it's been the commission's opinion that we don't have a whole bunch of overpaid people here, underworked, that we do have, actually we are stretched pretty tight to accomplish our legal obligations in this county. So all the cuts that have taken place were done with a great deal of sweat and tears. I think it would not be fair to tell the county that we're not going to have to do more. That we're still, in this budget, we are solving the problem with some one-time money. We are increasing taxes this year to pay for overcommitment, overspending in the past. We are trying to preserve as much public service as we can. We're trying to impact the public as little as possible. We're trying to impact the employees as little as possible. But this is step one in the process. I'll open that up to my fellow commissioners if you have any opening remarks.
I just have a comment on the revenue. We did lose some revenue, and as clerk pointed out to us, our indigent fund was defunded by the state, which we used to bring in revenue to us. We've not lost, which in turn we had to create the justice fund, separating that out from our current expense. We've had lower than expected revenue on our sales tax, revenue sharing, and liquor distributions. So there's all kinds of things that have played into the factor of us not having the revenue that we were accustomed to.
I just wanted to point out a little bit further on, last year we budgeted 17,326,853. This year we're budgeting 17,755,400. That's an increase of $428,000. We're putting $1.7 million in cash one time into the budget. We're also raising taxes by 3%. And we're gonna use $53,058 in foregone in order to accomplish the budget. So we do have a problem. And like Dave says, we need to have a third party come in and just check things over, because that's, it is a big jump. We've got 1.7 million plus our 3% what we raised in taxes, plus the foregone, so that's a large number. So we just wanted to make sure that we have answers for you, the public, and that's why we're gonna go ahead and ask for the audit.
All right. At this time, I've entertained a motion to open a public hearing so that we can hear comments from the public that are present.
So moved.
So moved by Commissioner Cassidy, seconded. Roll call?
Commissioner Groves?
Yes.
Commissioner Cassidy?
Here.
Commissioner Zimmerman?
Yes.
Okay, for public comment, the clerk has made available some forms up here on the front that you needed to fill out if you want to speak.
And then they can just hand it to us when
So if you want to come forward to speak, you can just hand that to the clerk. We're going to ask for clarity if you'll come up to the podium inside the caged area with all the elected officials up here so you can feel the danger like we do. And use this microphone right here so everybody in the room can hear your thoughts and your comments. We'll have a time for public comment, and then when we're through with public comment, I will turn over to the elected officials, the clerk, the commissioners, or if you have a question for another elected official, and we'll let them respond. Okay? Public comment. Mr. Huber.
I'd like to make a public comment, but I'd like to listen to everyone else's things first before I make it. Is that possible? Because I don't know what's gonna happen with all the elected till they tell us what's happening, so.
Well, you can make your public comment, the elected will respond afterwards, is what we're doing, but you can ask your questions now and then they can respond to you in a little bit.
Okay, so if I wanna talk, I gotta do it now.
If you want to talk, or now or after some other folks speak, but before we go to response.
Okay, I'd like to wait then.
Sure. Okay, anybody else? Public comment or question? Mr. Huber,
If it's just me, I'll do it.
it's just you.
I can do that. Okay. I'm not afraid these guys have been here before.
Yeah.
For the record, Jay Huber, citizen, county commissioner, board of county commissioners, distinguished elected officials. I just have a couple of comments. I really feel really bad there's not gonna be any raises for any of the individual workers here at the county. We are very grossly underpaid, which we were last year. We tried to fix that, and now it's back to square one, it seems like. If I have my figures right, you three commissioners all got a raise this year as soon as you took over in January, because you went from 4 days work week to 3 without taking a pay cut. So you're actually only in the office 24 hours a day, 24 hours a week, if I'm right. So you're making approximately $43.50 an hour. And that's if you're here, because I notice half the time you guys aren't even here. And that seems to be a common practice. I understand when you were Commissioner, Mr. Dose, in the early 90s, you guys went from 5 days to 4, and you were a teacher, so you were only here a few hours a week then too. And the first thing you basically did is you cut everybody's wages, then 14%, which is one of the problems we're having trying to catch up with all the people that aren't making any money. So, to me, I mean, you are salary, but the job is 24/7 when you want, you're not. But it's kind of hard to conduct business when you're only here once in a while. If I'm way out of line, you can let me know. But that's just what I've found. So that's about all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. We have no other comments, public? Oh, Mr. Beaner?
You have to fill one out. I'll fill that out.
Yes, you will.
So you're using, $53,000 for that. So am I correct? It's over 3% raise on the taxes this year. Okay. The revenue has been down for years. It hasn't, this isn't just something that just happened. I think we all know this after going through it. It's not, it didn't just happen this year. We've been overspending according to the revenue for years, and it's caught up to us. And you guys are in the tough position because if this doesn't work, next year it's not gonna be good for the county. I wish you, hope you luck. Thank you.
Okay. Any further comment? Okay. Any of the elected that wish to make a comment today in public meeting? Okay. Madam Clerk, any comment? Okay. Commission, any comment? All right. I'll respond to Mr. Huber. Just a couple of your numbers were off. Obviously, we have a different philosophy on some of that, but it is true that 32 years ago, the commission worked 2 days a week for, if I recall right, the salary was $16,000. And I don't think it's true that there was a 14% cut, but it is true that when the county went broke after Bunker Hill closed, that we did take a 4% cut. And I think I learned something from that. It did take the county years to recover. I don't know what else we could have done when the money wasn't there, but you'll notice this time, and if you've been watching our public meetings, we are doing everything we can to avoid reducing salaries. But we have to figure out how to make the income match the outgo. But I would agree with you that I don't see anybody that's overpaid. And definitely, the other thing this committee has agreed to do is, this board has agreed to fund a salary study finally and try and get to the bottom of that. All right.
Can I add to that? May I?
Oh, go ahead.
One of the things is we cannot raise, right now, we've raised the maximum amount of taxes. We also took foregone. So there's no way we could give anybody a raise. We had to cut. And, you know, that's the hard truth about it. Well, nobody got raises because of that. We don't have the money. We cannot raise taxes over 3%. We took foregone as well, so there's no other money we can get in. So there was no way we could do it this year.
Okay. All right. At this point, I'd entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Commissioner Rose?
Yes?
Commissioner Cassidy? Here. Commissioner Zimmerman?
Yes.
Okay. we are to the point where we can potentially make a decision on the budget, after the last 2 or 3 weeks of, we put quite a strain on everybody with budgets and rebudgets and changing and cutting. Hopefully we're to the point where we can make a decision on that today. I would entertain a motion on the budget.
I'll move to approve the budget as presented today.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. Okay, I'm gonna call for a roll call vote.
Commissioner Rhodes?
Yes?
Commissioner Cassidy?
Yes.
Commissioner Zimmerman?
Yes.
All right, closing comments. Any of the Board of Commissioners?
Not at this time.
Not this time.
Okay, I will thank you for being here. Hopefully today was kind of boring because we've had several public meetings and had opportunity for the public to speak at all of those. So we've been trying to get your public input for the last few weeks on this situation. And we will keep you posted. Want to thank the clerk, thank the elected for your help with this process, and with that, this meeting is adjourned.